Happy New Year! Welcome to a New Year's edition of The Greatest Record Ever Made. I'm Carl Caffarelli. I'm the co-host of This is Rock and Roll Radio with Dana and Carl. Heard every Sunday night from 9 to midnight here in Syracuse on WSPJ 103.3 and 93.7 FM. SparkSyracuse.org on the web. I'm also a writer, and I'm working on a book called The Greatest Record Ever Made, Volume 1, dedicated to the notion that an infinite number of songs can each be the greatest record ever made as long as they take turns. Records, turns. Get it? It is New Year's Eve as we record this. Here's to Old Lang Syne. And it seems fitting that for New Year's Eve, we skip ahead near the end of the book to a selection on Eytan Mirsky's This Year's Gonna Be Our Year. Eytan is not as well known as he should be. He has done a number of really, really wonderful records. We first, This is Rock and Radio, first became aware of Eytan in 2000, 2001, thereabouts, so about 20 years ago. His second album, Get Ready for Eytan, made its way to us, and we started playing it. It looks a lot like this. Mine has a note on it that says, "Hey, Carl, now you too can have your very own copy of Get Ready for Eytan. Take care, Eytan." We met Eytan in August of 2001 in person. There was a book called Bubblegum Music is the Naked Truth. I contributed some portions of this book, so I went down to New York for the book release party, which took place at Beauty Bar in Manhattan. Dana and I went down, and Eytan came out to meet us. Dana did actually meet Eytan on one subsequent occasion. The book release party was in August of 2001, just a few weeks before 9/11, and talk about a year that was not our year. We have been playing Eytan regularly ever since. We went back. We have his first album, which we haven't played as much. Eytan seems to kind of disavow this album. Songs about girls and other painful subjects. And of course, Get Ready for Eytan. Was it something I said? Odds are, Eytan, odds are. Everybody's having fun tonight. Year of the Mouse. My copy's autographed, though sadly I've used this CD so much that the notation is smudged, but it's smudged because I love it so much and I keep on playing it and I keep on smudging it. Funny Money, and the inspirational title, If Not Now, Later. And some other scattered tracks on compilation albums. Eytan contributed tracks to two of our This Is Rock and Roll Radio compilations as well. He did a wonderful cover of the Beatles' Don't Bother Me for a George Harrison tribute album that came out several years ago called He Was Fab. So Eytan has been a perennial fixture on This Is Rock and Roll Radio airwaves. We had wanted to include This Year Is Going to Be Our Year on our last CD, on This Is Rock and Roll Radio Volume 4 in 2017. And Eytan gave us the permission. We ran out of room. We had too much material. And in my mind, that CD closes with Eytan. If we ever do another CD, don't bet on that. But if we ever do another CD, I think we definitely want Eytan back on that. Eytan has been, I describe him in the chapter on This Year's Going to Be Our Year as a snarky everyman, and that seems about right. His persona, his pop sensibilities, his know-how combines with a New York-bred cynicism, and it's a magic package. He's done a lot of really, really wonderful music, and that's why we keep playing him again and again over the years. I think back of a couple of lyrics that he's done. Of course, American Splendor. He's actually in the movie American Splendor, singing a bit of the song. And think of the line from American Splendor, if I can remember it without notes. I thought that life was one big struggle. It looks like I was right. I know I'll never win this war, but I won't give up without a fight. And that's central to the notion that's also expressed in This Year Is Going to Be Our Year. This Year Is Going to Be Our Year is absolutely a choice for the greatest record ever made. It should be a New Year's Eve anthem. Eytan wrote it with the intent of doing something that could be a New Year's song. There are so many Christmas songs, as he says. Why not a really definitive New Year's Eve song? There really isn't. Old Lang Syne doesn't count in the same way. And it is a marvelous expression of optimism born of cynicism, of hope denying pessimism. and going on anyway and forging ahead. Let's talk about 2020. No, let's not talk about 2020. We all know what a miserable year this is. There's nothing I can tell you about this year that you don't already know. This was not our year. Maybe 2021 won't be our year, but it could be. It has to be. What choice do we have? I look back to the chapter that I wrote, which was one of the most heartfelt and most emotional chapters that I wrote for the book. In a book full of also heartfelt and emotional chapters. I'm going to do something that I haven't really done in this video series. I'm going to read from the chapter itself. Quoting from the song, "Do you remember the way we felt in August when nothing seemed to go as planned? We didn't waver. We never hesitated because it was time to make a stand. And we said, this year's going to be our year. At what point do we give up? When is it time to concede, to surrender? I'm in my 60s now. It's a number neither great nor small, not ancient, not new. My brain thinks I'm a teenager. There are days when my body's aches and my mind's troubles seem like even more than 6 decades of dead weight. There's so much to do. Sometimes I don't want to do any of it. But things get done. Bills get paid. Responsibilities met. Goodbyes. Hellos renewed. Laughter gives way to tears. But laughter returns. I still know delight and wonder. I have my superhero comic books. I listen to my invigorating pop music, my loud rock and roll. I read. I watch TV. I follow the ups and downs of my basketball team. Go SU. I like food. I enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning more than I ever enjoyed a beer at night. I still enjoy a beer at night. I love family and friends. I write. I look at my wife and randomly say to her, "You're pretty." Every mundane task we do together, I call a date. Hugs and kisses. I clear the snow from my driveway and set my car's radio to magnetic north. And now we've reached December, and it's been so disappointing that we're glad this sorry year is about to end. But in just a little while, we'll be back in January, and you know we're going to start it all again. And we'll say, this year is going to be our year. Don't you know it's going to be our year now? Much better than last year and the year before. Guitars and drums, harmony, purpose. Eytan sings, and we know he's right. Every year, and every moment of every year, we will discover that our path has been blocked. We will overcome the obstacles until the day comes that we can no longer overcome them. Today isn't that day. Not now, not yet. We haven't quite exhausted our supply of miracles. Like freedom fighters, abolitionists, and suffragettes before us. Like Tom Joad moving his family west, or Green Lantern vowing to shed his light over dark evil. For the dark things cannot stand the light. Allen Ginsberg putting his queer shoulder to the wheel. Elvis, Chuck Berry, Rosa Parks. The Beatles aiming for the toppermost of the poppermost. Leslie Gore singing You Don't Own Me. The Miracle Mets. Barack Obama insisting, yes, we can. Malala. Anyone who's ever looked ahead and seen the promise of possibility, the odds against us be damned. Win or lose, this year. Honest mirabilis. This year's going to be our year. It must be true. I have a song that says so. This year, man. This year. Happy New Year on behalf of The Greatest Record Ever Made. The series will continue next week as we go back a little bit earlier in the book. We're going to go back to a more sequential telling of the chapters in there with Little Richard, the theme song from the first great rock and roll movie, The Girl Can't Help It. Below, you'll see options to tip, to support, to subscribe, and I will include a link to the printed text, an earlier version of the chapter on Eytan Mirsky's This Year is Going to Be Our Year, as it appeared before. It's a little bit different in the book, but not by much. I was 59 when I wrote it. I'm older than that now. I was so much older then. I'm older still now. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. This year, man. This year.